Hello, beautifuls. I welcome you into another episode of About Her. Today we have the wonderful Kirtika from Inner Rebirth with us. And thank you so much for being here, for joining. I'm really excited to have you here and to learn more about your wisdom and, yeah, have you share your journey. So that's what I love to start with, to see how you came to the place where are you now, how you've birthed your business and your purpose, how you found it basically.
Thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me. My name is Kirtika, and I created this channel, Inner Rebirth, and it started just with an idea of just being myself on the internet. Before that, I had so many channels where I was just doing just a shiny thing. And
Mm.
that's where I understood that this is the next step for me. I don't know what my niche is. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just doing me. And
Mm.
and I wanted to do it in two languages, English and my own language, Punjabi, because that's where I actually really felt the need for my own people when I saw that where they are and where I can take them with my help. And I started sharing about authenticity, gratitude, abundance, meditation, whatever I was going through. I was just sharing it. And it's been over in a year, and I have built a community of over 18K. And I've expanded onto Instagram and Threads now. And it's been a wonderful journey. It started just with an idea of just finding my own tribe, like, where are you? And now
Mhm.
it's amazing when we actually change this mindset from, oh, I don't like people, to, I'm gonna find my people. Where are they? So that's where it started from, just by being myself. So I'm really grateful that I'm
Mm.
here now and just speaking to you.
Oh my God, I love that so much. And I thank you for sharing because authenticity is a big part of my work. And when we connected, that wasn't even a theme, but um, I think it's why you've maybe built so fast is that people crave that. And I know so many people who would like nod their heads when you said, like, going from not liking people to like finding the people that are really resonating with you, because there are. And especially when we come to remembering ourselves, and you call it spiritual awakening or however, whenever we connect to ourselves, there often is this like loneliness or nobody gets us, and maybe the people that surround us are not on the same path, and therefore we feel like we need to go through it alone. By That's not true. So the moment you find your tribe and you find like-minded people maybe all over the world, things shift so quickly. There is this, like, I feel there's so much empowerment when you connect with people who resonate on the same frequency, and therefore there is like this instant connection.
Yeah, definitely. I think authenticity really speaks. Like, as we say, authenticity is the highest vibration. When you're so authentic and you're just
Mm.
expressing yourself, and the people who are just craving for the same thing, and they're like, oh, yes, I'm like that too. And that's what I feel like I wanted to make a difference, because I felt like the social media was kind of giving this image of be like this, find this, or, like portraying this image that who we are not. And I thought, I think that needs to be changed. And at the same time, I was going through a really massive spiritual awakening. I was in my hermit mode again. I thought, oh my God, I just, every people in my life just fell apart. What is happening? And that's where I think the true leader that just came inside of me, because I know I have that in me, the true leader came, and I thought, no, I think there's something greater than that. And that's where the idea of this channel came up, that yes, I have to take this charge. People who are going through the spiritual awakening stages, the hermit phases, that you're not alone. if you're going through this massive science that nobody has the answer for, I started speaking about those signs which are a bit woo woo without even thinking that how I will be perceived. And that's where actually most people stop, because we live in that perception of what other people think of us, and that's why we don't put ourselves out there. And that's the barrier that I really want to break through, that I just don't care anymore. I want my people to just, I want to be there for them.
Yeah. You touched on something that I think is one of the things that holds us back the most. Is this like, how do others perceive us? What do others think about us? You cannot do that because what would the neighbor think? Or however, we might have had that running in our heads, and to coming through that like barrier that we put on ourselves, because it's nobody else that tells you not to be yourself, it's you at the core. Of course, like maybe there are mirroring back from other people, but essentially it's like you telling yourself you cannot be that. So how was that for you? Because you said now I don't care. That for me like gives a hint to maybe it was like a journey to start really being yourself and talking about stuff that maybe nobody gets at first, or that they label as woo woo, or like, too much out there. How did you like find the strengths? Was it that inner leader that you talked about that like helped you really step into your power and share, no matter what, your true essence?
I think, yes, I have gone through this ups and downs in my journey of sharing my truth. And particularly, I remember when I touched down on a very sensitive topic of religion, because not to bash any religion, but just giving them a bigger picture that if I'm doing it in this way, it doesn't mean that I'm disrespecting. It's just my own point of view, that how I connect with the universal power. And I remember in that video, I was just meditating using these mantras, and I got so much hate, like so much hate. And at one point, I had this really good friend of mine, and I just talked to her that my message was not to disrespect it. My message was about understanding that if I don't perform these rituals, doesn't mean that I can't connect with the universal, because at the end of the day, you are connecting to the same thing as well. And that's where I think it's important to surround yourself with the right people who can give you the right advice in those vulnerable stages when you're just a little bit at the edge of giving up. And that's why she suggested it to me, so that instead of replying back with the same energy, just try to be inclusive, that yes, your opinion matters, but mine as well. And that's where I would say that's where my inner rebirth came as well. Transformation came, that, oh, okay, there's something for me to change as well. And as soon as I changed my energetics, it's just like my content and the people that started connecting with me just instantly changed. And I go, okay, I think there was something to learn for me there as well. So it was just not about the content that I was putting through, but I was going through that inner rebirth of that conditioning, that, oh, if someone is putting that hate onto me, I have to take it personally. But I just put that on the side, that no, I don't have to take it personally. I can look at other ways too. And that's where I think when people put themselves authentically, that's where it's going to help them as well, that people are actually looking at you from like the little lens that they have. But if you just let them, whatever lens they have, and just have a bigger picture, and just say, okay, I respect your opinion, but I would also really respect if you respect my opinion as well. And that's where we become an inclusive tribe who just respect each other.
Yeah, which is exactly what we need right now. Um, And it's so interesting because one of my first mentors learned me something that fits into that, I believe. He said, like, think greater than your environment. And what he meant is, don't let yourself be frozen or like triggered by things that happen like in the outer world that's coming to you, but like think beyond that. Take a maybe universal perspective, galactic perspective, however you want to touch upon it. Look at it from your higher self's point of view. And I feel that's exactly what you're describing the moment you said, like, no, I don't react to that hate comments with the same energy of I need to maybe defend or explain or just be mad because it hurt me, but to go greater and think greater than that. And the interesting thing about that you touched upon as well is it vanishes. It just like goes away the moment we don't react, but we like kind of try to be more like the light, more like the universe, more like the goddess or god energy, which is all inclusive. So the moment we do that, I think it's every time it's so beautiful how fast things can shift. And it's not a struggle that goes on, and you don't need to like be in that energy of like these comments, these resistance forever. It's more like a test. That's how I see it, for like you to become aware of whatever you're birthing right now, or whatever layer you're shedding, and then things shift very quickly. So it's not like, oh my god, I can never. You could also like have said, I've gotten so many hate for this, I will never make a post that is so, delicate, or I maybe even withdraw from the complete thing. You could easily have given up, but instead it like just bloomed out. I think it's really interesting that these moments are kind of like, yes or no big moments of like growth or contraction.
Yes, exactly. I felt like those triggers are actually your teachers, which tells you that your ego get exposed, that this is where you're not free. And that's where I felt that, oh, okay, I'm feeling triggered. There's something for me to learn here. And that's where I actually leaned into it, that I don't have to look at from their perspective. I can respect theirs, but I'm still going to put myself out there and not let the ego win. It's 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 a it's a tricky thing, like when we are on the spiritual path, the ego and the soul, it just dances along, and you have to really make a good balance, that where to use the ego and where to actually embody that soul energy. And I thought, I don't think so my ego is going to run the show or run the channel for me. I think the soul really wants to speak now. And that's why I think I changed my bio as well, that I'm a soul fluencer. That I don't want to influence anyone. I just want to, that's my message, like just dive deep into your soul, and in that soul there's no separation. There's no separation. We're all equal, and there's space for everybody. Even though we get a hate, we don't get triggered, because we understand that I have gone through that as well. And it's not that we're going to completely vanish that side of us. It's more like embodying and becoming the aware of when it shows up, and then you have to make a decision that, okay, I want to channel my ego here, or I want to go to the soul path. And I'm also a firm believer that we we cannot completely get away from our ego as well, because it is there to serve us as well. But I think right now we are running from so much ego mind that we just project so much, and that's where we become the servant of the ego, but it should be the other way around. And that's what I learned about myself from this own experience, that oh no, I am going to decide when I'm going to use you. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, I love that. That is, I feel this balance that you touched upon between like soul-led actions and ego-led actions, there needs to be a balance. I totally agree. Most people, society in general, without judgment, but mostly it's run based on ego decisions. Um, but on the other hand, it's like you cannot, there's so many people who say, like, the ego needs to die, you need to release the ego. I don't think so. We have a physical body, so the ego has its place. It's just like you said, it's depending on the place you give it. It doesn't have to be like the master, the CEO of your life. It can be, you can have someone, something, your soul, that is equal. And then you bring them all to the table and you again go back to including, which the universe is. There is no like exclusion in the universe. So the moment you include your ego and your soul and bring them all together, I feel that's what we're meant to do here. We're meant to hold this duality of like the universal or divine energies and of this like more physical energies that we have in here. And the moment we try to like go on either side of that, that's not what we're here for. So there's friction or tension, or there's some energy that is not flowing smoothly. But when we learn that we can have both and that we can manage to include it, I feel that's where magic happens. Like you say, there are like, maybe this is like where the power comes to be authentic, because I know so many people, I'm working with empowerment a lot, so many of my clients have really strong challenges to be authentic because of limiting beliefs, of fear coming up, of like, what would people think, or who am I even? And so I would love to know your take on how to connect with yourself so that you can, in a first step, even know like, who am I? What does mean authenticity or authentic expression to me? Because it's different for each one. We cannot do like go to the handbook and say like, okay, that's what I need to do. It's different for each soul.
I think authenticity for me, in very simple term, is the true essence who you are after unlayering all the conditioning and the programming that we have always experienced. Um, how I see authenticity is coming back to your childhood, that what did you like to do? What was something that just sparked something in you that you just wanted to do it? And this is how you wanted to express yourself. And as I leaned more into it, I understood that I have so many layers now, and that's where the actual challenge is, because we live in this world where there's so many masks and we have people around us and there's so many judgments, and again, the social media is another layer of it. And I think if somebody really wants to connect with the authentic self, is start with questioning everything, who you have always been. Because once we ask ourselves some deeper questions, we get to know that it is actually not serving us. And that's where the journey I have gone through with my mentor. I'm doing this course as Authentic You as well, where we actually worked on who we are not. And I looked at that list and I thought, 31 years of my life, I have been this, but I should have been who I'm actually want to be or who I am. But I think once we understand that, we really need to build that hope and resilience within ourselves that, okay, this is who I've been, but I have the power to create it as well. So if our authentic expression was victim, for example, now we understand that we can actually create our reality. So not by staying in the victim, and by just choosing that you are the creator of your life, you can actually change your reality. So you're coming back to who you have always been. And in terms of your self expression, is just not who you are, it's how you present yourself out in the world as well. For me, it was the very like the one thing that I would say, I stopped singing because there were some people in my life who said, "Oh, you're not good enough," even though my voice is incredible. And it's something that we take on so much from people and make our own truth, but we know deep inside that what is our truth. And when I got to peel that layer of me, and I thought, no, actually, I don't have to believe what you told me or you told me. I'm going to tell myself my truth and I'm going to live in it. And then practice. Then just every day, just living it. And that's the hard part because that's the resistance, I would say. The shadow work. Oh my gosh, that's where the actual shadow work comes in. The resistance you will feel because imagine you lived your 30 years of life not feeling confident in it, and then you are again the reprogramming of your mind that I'm going to be this. But it is so necessary, and once we start doing that, it gets easier. It just gets so much easier. And um not in just like who we are in social media as well, somebody who's starting a channel, it just gets easier and easier and easier. It just takes a lot of courage to understand where you are and how you're going to get there by really, really believing in yourself. That's what authenticity is. You just believe in yourself so much that this is where I'm going. That's actually channeling the creator energy, the whole universal energy that yes, this is my essence, and just really owning it.
That is so beautiful. Yes. I feel like what you touched upon is really, really interesting, this judgment. Because for me too, when I realized from my first mentor who said, like, you don't have to take on everything other people tell you about you. I was like, oh well, I could reject what if other people tell me I'm not a good singer or I'm not a good dancer. I can take that in and make it part of my self-image. But I also can, and I wished I knew that sooner. I could also say like, your opinion, but no, I don't take that in. It's not part of my world. I don't want to create that as part of me. And so for me, many things start with the judgment, because other people, when you feel the judgment of other people and you kind of don't know that you don't have to take that in and accept it as part of you, then that's where these limiting beliefs start that hold us back, or that maybe are like layers on our authentic essence. So this, like, coming to your authenticity, for me it feels like you kind of need to declutter all these limiting beliefs that you have taken on for whatever reason, but most of them are rooted in judgment, as far as I've experienced it, that came unconsciously often from other people. So not even there's no blame, but it's very interesting. I think that this is something that goes so deep and that can hold us back our whole lives. If a few people told you you're not a good singer, and you take that on, and then forever in your life you're not using your voice in that way, which gives you so much fun, then that is like holding you from your true essence, and it's your path to discover that again. So it's really interesting. Sometimes I feel we need to experience that so that we can say like, no, that's not me. And on the other hand, it's so sad because, like you said, you could live decades without being yourself in that area.
Yeah, I think you touched on a really good point, that unconscious. And I think it really comes back to the childhood, that sometimes for a child, it doesn't have to straight away like you are like that. It's like really unconscious. We pick up the patterns from the people, the parents or the caregivers around us, and we kind of like assume that this is the actual reality because we don't know better. And they're so deep. It's like when you start doing the inner work, you understand that, ooh, where is it coming from? And you go back to your childhood, that who was around me and was behaving in that way, and you pick up that behavior and you think that it's you. But again, when you start doing the inner work and you understand your authentic expression, you come back to your own essence, is like, actually, it's not serving me. This story that I've been telling myself, it's not serving me. So while I'm holding back to it, it's somebody else's story. It might be parent or a caregiver, but I have the power to rewrite my own story. And that's where the magic happens, when you take that charge of your life. And I get this comment sometime as well on my TikTok that how do we break out of this pattern? And I always say this is like by slowing down, like when we are rushing so much and we're living in this constant battle of pleasing others, we don't have time. We don't have time to actually come back home. We are either looking for in other people, or we're looking in the distractions, or like like just things don't matter. And when you come back to yourself, you really understand that you are the creator, and that's where the actual change starts. And again, like when you're on that journey, I would highly recommend having a good mentor is the key, who just gets you, who's on the same path, and who's just not talking, who's just embodying that authenticity. Because we need people as much as our solitude is our la la land, but we need people who can hold our hand and just show us the path where we want to be and who we want to be, or maybe just come back to our home, to ourselves. Because we have been around those people, we haven't found the home. So in our around us, having a mentor is the key to again find yourself or rediscover yourself.
I love that. And slowing down, that's an interesting one, I feel, because like our world is speeding up so much, so much. Everything is getting faster, I feel, every minute. And I have a knack for conspiracy theories, so I'm briefly touching upon like what I felt within the last years, especially after 2022. I felt like things sometimes are doomed or are like judged as bad, and the more there's this badness, like in you can't slow down, you need to hustle, you need to work hard, you need to, I don't know, sleep 4 hours and work 15 to be valuable. That's kind of like, for me, that's always a sign of like, oh, the other direction is actually where we should go. Because there is this like collective hustling energy. If you step out of that and say, I want to slow down because I want to like connect to myself, I want to like get to know myself, or even become aware of patterns, become aware of things that I don't like, become aware of things I like. You cannot do that if you just go, 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 run, run, run. There's no time to enjoy the beauty of nature if you're just running around. There's no time of really connecting to your soul if you don't take the time to sit, to meditate, to sometimes even get bored, to see what comes up and hear that clear intuition. And I feel there is a lot of judgment around slowing down, which means to me this is really important so that we can evolve into, collectively and individually, into the souls we are meant to be, and not like follow some old dying paradigm of having to wear a mask all the time, or having to be like functioning, like working so that others have what they want, but where are you in there? And I feel it's a really big thing to slow down. And it's also something that there is a lot of judgment around, at least where I live, and many of my people in the US have that too, that there's like, no, you cannot, when you don't have 3 jobs and 3 hobbies, then that's not life. So there's lots of programming around that.
Oh, I totally agree on that. It's like we see somebody and their lifestyle and we think, oh, the 40 an hour workday is the one to get there. But we don't understand, if our body doesn't allow it, why are we doing it? What is the point? If if we cannot enjoy the present moment, if we don't have 10 minutes or 15 minutes of presence in the now, what is the whole point? Just gathering and accumulating all the stuff or the wealth, or I don't know what that is, but we're just constantly running on this hamster wheel till, I don't know, till our body stops or we hit a certain age. And then again, we are restless or we suffer from our health. So we're actually not gaining anything. So why not we just listen, really, really listen to our body, how we work, how we actually want to be productive. Like, for example, today, my body just did not allow me to be productive. And the older me would be like, no, I gotta get this done. I've got so many projects. And now, as I understood myself, like how my body works, I slow down and I rested today because I know I had a recording. So I wanted to be my best self here. But again, I prioritized what I needed as in soul. I didn't need to rush it. Like I really feel like rushing is just very icky. It just gives this icky energy that you're always, you're not happy. You're just it's it's not fulfillment. Slowing down is fulfillment. You really enjoy that luxury of presence. That's what it is. And that's where you
Mm.
meet your authentic self, that what you actually really like and what you enjoy. Having a sip of coffee just by slowing down, it's just a real luxury. That's who you are.
Yeah. I feel that often we don't allow ourselves because of all the programming to like slow down because there's fear coming up of what if I don't like what I discover there, who I am, you know? What if I don't discover anything? Like what if this is leading me down like a like an uncomfortable path in any way? And so this hustling and this running, I totally agree, it's an icky energy. For me there's always coming up this quote from Genevieve Behrend. I don't know if you heard about her. She wrote, hurry is fear and fear is consequently destructive. And when I read that, it was one of those moments where, like you said, with the list of things you don't want to be anymore, I said, like, oh my God, I'm hurrying a lot. It's like, that was my life. Hurry from here to there, from there to there, and get like 20 things done within a very short time frame. And I thought, like, oh, that is really destructive. And I feel it in my body. I feel it in my mental clarity. I feel it in the projects that are like kind of like suppressing my energy because there's this long list of things I need to do, which are not exciting to me, but they just want to get done to be done. And so this hurry really was destructive, but I wasn't even noticing because of maybe disconnect, like you said, when we don't let our body lead the way, it's very easy to step over the boundaries that we have and to like just think we need to get done something. Me too. I meditated before we had this recording because I want to be present and I don't want to think like, oh, what do I need to do next? And oh, I have forgotten this or whatever. There's so many things, but we can choose. Although I think that is important to know, regardless of whatever you have on your plate, if it might be one meeting or 20 meetings a day, you can be present. It's not it's not an option to not be present. It's always there, this like option to really connect for that moment, really deeply to yourself, and then afterwards kind of deal with the rest step by step. But the worrying is not helping. I don't know why we worry so much, but it's definitely more draining energy than it giving you energy, and it's taking you, I feel, away from your authentic expression rather than like bringing you closer to yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's hurrying, and then we are overthinking about all those 12 hours, 13 hours, what we did, and we can't sleep because it's just such a disbalance, it's imbalance. And again, thing I really want to touch on this is like we live life how we have been told that this is the only way of living life. For example, like I know few people can relate to me. We have been told that wake up at 5 a.m., do it this at 6 a.m., and just this cycle that this is the only way to live it. Whereas when I started really dig into myself, I understood my body rhythm doesn't like mornings. I'm a night owl. My creative energy, and I did talk to my mentor as well. My creativity just blasts through the roof at nighttime. So why would I go to sleep at 10 p.m. when my creativity is in spark? So why should I live according to the norm of somebody who just say, this is the 5 a.m. club, we're just gonna get this? No, I would say no to it because my body just doesn't allow it. If even, and it doesn't mean that I haven't tried it. I did. I used to go to job as well where I wasn't me. And even after I left that job, I thought I would just start living this way because that's the way we have been told. It's like a script that we have been given. And I got to a point was so frustrated on myself and I thought, I'm just doing me. And the day I decided that, my productivity level increased, my the time that I was taking to finish the projects was just increased, and now I get the day to enjoy myself and I start working on the creative projects at night time. So it's like really deciding where your body is, where your own rhythm is, like what is aligning with your own self. Are you a morning person? Good on you, but I'm a night owl. Does that mean I'm bad? No, I'm not. It's there's a space for everybody, and that's what authenticity is like. This is who I am, this is who you are, and this is that person is. No one is wrong or right. It's everybody is together living this life. You don't have to act like me. I don't have to act like you, but just make space for each other so that we can live in this thriving community where we're judgment free, we're embracing each other's talents, and just live happily. Because at the end of the day, we all want to live happily together. But by rushing so much and judging so much, we're just holding this resentment and hate. I don't know what. I feel like when I look at somebody who's just rushing so much and living in that kind of energy, there's no smile on their face. And that's the first thing I pick up because, when you're authentic, you pick up on those energies. You're like, you're just not you who you are. And it's also another thing, I feel like you just cannot teach anyone to be authentic. It has to really come from inside. It's an inner journey. And once someone get that done moment, I call it a done moment, that's where the inner rebirth start, that okay, I'm done living this way. Now I really want to know who I am and I'm committed. I think commitment is a very strong word here, that I'm committed to be who I am. And then the path just gets easier and easier. If you're in your head, you drop back to your body. If you're in your head, again drop back to your body, into your soul. It just gets, I think living in your authenticity is the easiest thing ever. Yeah.
If we allow ourselves, isn't it? If we allow ourselves to take off the masks. You touched upon that like 5 a.m. club, and I feel like this is one of the things where self-development, or however you want to call it, gets toxic, when we think like this is the only way to do it, and if I want to be happy, grow, whatever, then I need to do that. That's again a mask that you take on. That's again something that is not your own, or maybe it is, but like depending on me, I'm a night owl too. Like staying up late is beautiful and waking up early is really hard for me. Of course I try it and I can, but what's the point in there if it's not fitting? So by me saying I need to do that, because if I'm not in the 5 a.m. club and meditate from 5 to 6, I'm not gonna like grow spiritually, and therefore like this is a must that I need to mold myself into that form, then I think that's totally like off point. Because what we need to realize is that each of us, when we are actually authentic, that's when we draw in the right people, that's when we draw in the right experience, that when we can co-create our reality. And that is actually when we can help others the most, because we lead by our own way. Like you said, me too. I think authenticity is not something that you can say like you do this and this and this and then check off, you have it. It's more like, but you can lead by example. People can see you and feel inspired by the power and the inner peace they feel. And then they can find their own journey, but there's not like a 5-point checklist that you can hand them and say like, well, please do these instructions and then you have whatever you desire. But you can inspire them when you are uniquely yourself. And therefore, that is the gift that we, I think, are meant to share, is our own essence, because we are so beautifully designed to complement each other when we are ourselves.
Definitely. I think authenticity is that frequency that people can pick up from the screen even. You don't have to be around them. And once you're sharing your message, once you're sharing yourself, like everybody's like, oh yes, this is how I want to be. And that's where I think the spark, the little spark that comes in, that they look at their life that, oh, I don't want to live in that mask, I want to live that way. But that also inspires them that this person is just so themselves, that I can be myself as well. So it's like giving space to others, that and holding space for others, that you can be yourself. It's not that hard. I know it seems hard, but once you walk this path, anybody who doesn't understand that will eventually fall away. And that actually really happens. That happened in my life, that happened with the people that I know. And that's the good thing, because we're so attached to holding on to people, the things that we know, and we think, oh, our life is gonna fall apart, or what people leave me. It's a good thing. Once you get into that hermit mode, you have nobody. That's the best place to be. That's what spiritual awakening does. It just hits you that you're done. You're done. Just find yourself now. Spiritual awakening is not about just, those woo-woo stuff that we think about. It's really, really coming back to your own essence, that anything is which is not in alignment is just gonna fall away, and it's gonna feel really, really bad. But that's the best thing that can happen to anybody who 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 wants to be authentic, who wants to live an authentic life. That's, I think that's happened so many times in my life. The version that I am right now hasn't come in like 2 3 years. It's been more than 10 years in my life that happened, and every chapter just showed a different face to me, that oh, I can be this, I am this. So I'm really embodying and having that confidence to present myself, that even though it feels scary, it's like you don't know, like you're scary, but I got this. I got this. And it just gets easier and easier. On my TikTok as well, like I connect with so many people. They're like, how are you so confident? And I tell them, if you would have met me 10 years ago, I was so shy. Like I kid you not, I was so shy. But I understood that it wasn't serving me. I wanted to be around people, and I wanted to network with people. I wanted to be around good people. If I'm gonna be shy and sitting in that corner, yes, I might just talk to 2 3 people, but the whole event that I went to, or the places that I want to be in, or the opportunities that I want to attract, I'm not gonna be able to sustain it. I might attract it, but it's the sustenance. Like you have to build that capacity to be confident in who you are, and just really living from that self, like yes, I got this, I got this. It's the one time, I think, as in terms of speaking, like public speaking is very scary for people, because again the judgment comes in, that oh, people might judge my clothing, or the way I'm standing, or the way I'm speaking. But when you're so confident what you're talking about, and your message has that power, it's like it. You don't have to train. You don't have to read the script. It just happens so fast that it just comes so naturally. And that's like the practice that you have to do it with yourself, that I got this. I got this. Yeah, it's like really living who you are and really, really feeling and believing it in yourself.
Yeah. I believe the moment we become aware that there is something that we feel unworthy of, or that where we have like these limiting beliefs around being enough, being beautiful enough, talented enough to speak in front of people, do I have something to say, does someone listen to me? The moment we like ditch that judgment on ourselves, other people do as well. If you're showing up authentically within your own energy, like you said, the people who resonate, they will be attracted to you, and the people who don't, they fall away, and that's good. What I feel often happens is people don't go down that path because you don't know what's happening. It's like the unknown. You don't know who falls away. What if your spouse falls away, or your best friend who you talk to every day is suddenly not resonating? And I feel that's so scary often, that it's almost a conscious choice to say like, oh no, I'm not going down that authenticity road. I'm not going to find myself. I'm not going to dig deep here, because what if they break away and they are such a big part of my life? What if I'm like messing in an area that I cannot undo it, and therefore like we limit ourselves to staying where we are, not growing, because we want to kind of control what is happening, and the unknown is so big we don't have any idea what is happening. And most of us don't believe that it's getting better, they think it's getting worse. So if you lose your spouse and your best friend, what if you're alone all life? Yeah, that's one way to look at it. But you can also take on another perspective and say like, okay, that might hurt. Yes, of course. That's sad. But on the other hand, what if afterwards there's place for even more amazing people? Someone who is even more aligning with your soul. So there's always more options than one that is like the bad worst case scenario. And the moment we open up to that and say like you said, I got this, or I love saying like the universe is always supporting me. I know that, and since I know that, I consciously know that, I think like, okay, well, then it must get better. Everything comes from the divine, so it's good. And if I don't see it right now, and if it feels uncomfortable, if it feels bad, that might feel bad, but it's not bad. It's actually good for me. And that is like, think that's a big shift for people to learn to trust and to go even down that road of becoming more like themselves and shedding those layers, if they feel like it doesn't have to become like the baddest decision you ever made. It will be the most beautiful decision you've ever made to come home to
Mm.
yourself.
Yeah, I think, as you said, those layers, something that really came into my mind is the deeper layers of when we start to work on ourselves. I think the worthiness and the shame and the guilt that we hold on to, I call it a lower triangle. We have been programmed so much to live in that lower triangle that most of us get scared that we're gonna get stuck there, or we don't want to initiate to look really deep into that fear, like face to face, that what is that fear? What is it? We think that once we get into that lower triangle, we're gonna get in the spiral, but I think that's where the actual journey starts. For me, it's like when I was working on deeper layers of shame and guilt and worthiness, I found my voice. And instead of suppressing, because that's again the another layer of programming, once you find yourself, then you suppress it because you think that you're not allowed to speak about those things. And once I was unlayering, uncovering those layers, I found out some truths about myself, and the especially like, and in the female health. And I have personally gone through like some health journeys related to PCOS, and understanding those diseases was related to those things. I healed it. And at that moment I feel like if I would have just kept that truth to myself, it's like, no, I'm just not serving. That's where the serving comes in, that once you learn something and once you know, like, I got this, I think that it is related to this. And that's when I found my voice and I shared my through my channel about PCOS. I had so many women understanding that PCOS is related to the shame and guilt that we are holding as a female in the womb, because again we're not allowed to speak about those things. Like, how many times we talk about this warm space and how healing these, and we're just so much programmed to suppress it. So here's the pill, take it, and then you it's not getting anywhere. That's the actual spiral, because we are just accepting it. And once we get into that deeper level, I went it and I thought, no, that is again my responsibility. Again, the inner leader in me just came that, no, I have to share this idea, or I have to share this with people. And when I shared it, the response was like, it was so massive that I connected with the females who were going on the same path, not just on the TikTok. There was like a comment that I did it on Instagram as well. I helped so many girls, and I don't know if all of them have followed it or not, but even if that one person might have just read it and they go, actually, I'm gonna do this tonight and I'm gonna do this every day. That's what our purpose is. That is actual authenticity. Like, you come back to yourself and then you go and give that to the people. You serve those people, and that just feels so good. That feeling is amazing, that I am doing something which is really greater than myself. I healed myself, that's good. But now what? And I'm going to live like this self-centered life? No. And that was my whole point of starting this channel in my own community, because I know I belong from this community. It's very conservative. We don't talk about those things. Like, it's very suppressive. And I thought, nah, I found my voice and I'm gonna be that voice in the Punjabi community. And I am getting this overwhelming experience. Like, sometimes I look at the comments or the people that reach out to me, and I thought, what if I would have just stopped it? It would have never been this impact. And that coming from my soul, it's like my soul is just earning so much to just put it out there without even thinking that what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna put it out there, and just in service of so much. And I've come to this point of, within 1 year, I've never thought that I would start a business through it. And now I started my business. I've been taking calls from people, helping them out and understanding themselves. I'm not reprogramming. I call them every time. Like, if you're coming to a call with me, I'm not gonna tell you this step. I like do this and that and that. You are coming to me as in you're rediscovering yourself. So I'm literally showing you the mirror, and then you go back and then you transform your life. That's I couldn't see the possibility, a year ago. And that's the journey of being authentic, that you, when you find your power, that you said, no, it is my inner calling to actually serve people. And it doesn't feel like a business or a work. It's just like, wow, I'm changing lives here. It's amazing that how our gifts show up in the most random moments of our life.
That is so beautiful. And I think it's like this is like you see almost how beautifully designed the universe is, because when you are authentic and you share about the things that you have learned on your journey, that you have healed from, that you have understood, other people who need to hear it hear it. It's not you on a mission like saying you need to do that, but like to unearthing these taboos and like sharing these insights that are so powerful. And then now you've touched on this like authentic expression that led to your business, you have had the courage to be you, and now you're paid for being you. I think that's the most beautiful way to have a job. So like, don't wear any masks, but be you. And by this inspiring others to be themselves as well, to go on their healing journey and say like, oh, A, it's possible, and B, it doesn't have to be that uncomfortable. It could be fun. It could be something that is not, you don't have to push through. Yeah, there might be uncomfortable moments, but there will be anyway. So you could also choose to like really become the best version of yourself by looking at someone who's done it and who holds space for you and who is there for you to believe in yourself and hold your space as long as you need to until you can hold yourself. And then with your authenticity, you've kind of created like a new room, a new world where people can come and do the same. And I think that's just beautiful because that's I think what we're meant to do in this world, each of us in their own unique individual expression.
Definitely. I think I did not choose that. That chose me. Because again, if I go back, I always had this compliment, I can say, like everybody that I would meet. I've been living in New Zealand from 10 years, but every time when I would meet my friends, they always used to say that you speak a very good Punjabi, which is my own language. And I always used to think that, well, this is my language, like this is how I speak. And I did not take it as a serious before because that's how I speak. And when I actually really started digging deep into it, and I thought there's something related to it, like my purpose is related to it. And when I was going through my own journey, I would find mentors or people on the internet that they had the English language or the other languages, but I just couldn't find my people, like my own language, and especially as a female. And I craved it so much because the power of the language is just, you cannot explain it. Like you meet somebody who speaks the same language as you in the foreign world, it's like instant connection. And that's what I thought that maybe I'm meant to do that. And again, in the beginning, I had a lot of resistance because I've been living in New Zealand from 10 years. I have both languages now becoming my main ones. But I try my best to include more Punjabi in my videos. And just that craving from inside of me, I have become that leader for my community. The females, even the males are coming up and they're like, oh, yes, we're so proud that someone is coming from this community that initiating this thing, spiritual awakenings and meditating and talking about a bigger picture of life. And that really touch your life, that this is where your gift lie. Like even everyone was telling me that Punjabi, you speak a really good Punjabi, and I was like, okay, I can connect the dots now. That this is what I had to do. This was my gift. It's just so natural for me. It's I don't have to practice what I'm speaking. When I make a video, I don't have any script. I don't have any topics. It's so amazing. I would just start a camera and I would just start speaking in my own language because this is how I speak to my friends. And that's what people crave. People don't need any script. People don't need any monthly content to follow. They just need real people. And I think that's where the social media is actually going in 2025. We're going, we are in the age of Aquarius. People want real, authentic people on social media. And I'm so grateful that I I am serving my own community. It's by even by living in abroad, I'm reaching global people from Canada, US, and I don't know what cities they are, countries they are watching from. And it only started with an idea of just speaking my own language. That's it. It's amazing how authentic expression leads to so much bigger.
Yes. Yes. I feel it's like the starting point of everything. Maybe like the seed that is growing when you say, like, okay, I'm, like you said in the beginning, now I'm doing me. I'm doing myself. And then things bloom out. You don't need a strategy. You don't need to like pre write your script for your video. You are you in that moment. And then if you trust that reaches the right people, it will. So, oh my God, I will have to ask you 100 more questions, but that would be too much for one podcast. What I want to ask you before we end is like, if there is that one thing that the listeners are trying to start on their authentic journey, what tool would you give them? What would you suggest that to them? What is a good starting point to really? We touched on it briefly before, but like, what would be your first step to say, like, okay, I find the courage to take more of the authentic expression and to look deep within.
I think what I would suggest is be comfortable in your own company and don't consider it as loneliness. Consider it as solitude, that you are going to find the best version of yourself from that solitude. Be comfortable with your own thoughts, start exploring your hobbies, start exploring yourself. What do you like? Because if you're around so many people all the time, you're picking up what they like, and that's where it starts. What do you like? And just really spending time. It doesn't have to be the whole day. Spend maybe 1 hour or 2 hours with yourself. And even better if you go into the nature, because we are nature. We connect with the true essence of nature and get out of your head. I think that's again a crucial point. Get out of your head in that solitude by being in the nature and just be open. What comes up? Be open to receive. And once that receiving, the downloads, I call it, the download comes in, and that's where you start create. Don't create it in a way. I know we all can get into this loop of we're gonna create, we're gonna earn money from this, we're gonna do this and that. Just create. Just create, and that's where the creating of your own life will start. Firstly, it'll start with the thoughts, and then it'll start in out in the world, and then it'll come into the your business. Who knows? I think it's a beautiful journey, but it starts with being comfortable on yourself and just understanding that again, this is the inner rebirth that you're going through by coming back home to yourself. And it can be very beautiful. Yeah, that's how I would suggest.
Mm, I love that. That is really beautiful. How how would you like to have people connect with you? I know you're doing Instagram now, but like, what is a good place to reach you if people want to know
If
more?
if anyone would like to connect with me, I have a TikTok channel. It's called Inner Rebirth. And I have an Instagram as well, Inner Rebirth, which is double H because I couldn't find the username. And then I'm on Threads as well. Same, Inner Rebirth is the name. And I'm also thinking to start a YouTube channel, which is in the process, because that again a new challenge that I want to take in. For now, these are the three platforms they can find me, but mostly I hang around on TikTok and Threads.
Okay, I will link all of them in the show notes. And oh my God, how exciting with the YouTube channel! I think that would be amazing to have like longer form content as well, because sometimes, for me at least, I feel like sometimes these 60 or 90 seconds it's too short to explore a deep concept, and it's really good to have a bit more time to dive in deeper. So, oh, let me know how that is going, and I will link it when you have it within the episode as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I will let you know. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me, and I loved sharing me.
Yes, yes, me too. I thank you so much for your wisdom and your energy and the courage to like be authentic. I think it's one of the most beautiful gifts we can gift ourselves, but we can also gift others. So thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing. That was such a beautiful experience.
Thank you so much.